I want to turn now to the role of the chair. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but there's a wonderful TED Talk by Ben Zander. He is a former conductor of the Boston Philharmonic, and it's called The Transformative Power of Music. It's a magical 18 minutes. It really is worth seeing. The Transformative Power of Classical Music by Ben Zander on TED Talks. At about minute 12, he says to his audience, you know, I turned 45, and suddenly it just came on me that I was the only person on the stage when I was conducting, the only person on the stage that doesn't make a sound. My job is to pull together as many as 125 absolutely gifted people into a coherent whole and project that out to the audience. I think that's an absolutely perfect metaphor for a chair. What you want to do as the chair of the board is to pull together the talent around the table, both the management side and the director's side, into a coherent whole so value is added going outwards to the trajectory of your business. That's the goal. A great chair is really an essential component of a value-added board. I've always maintained that without a great chair, you can't be a good director. And without a great chair, no board is going to add any value. And I actually left an S&P 500 board myself, trading on the New York Stock Exchange, because the chair really was not a competent chair. And in spite of my best efforts, I could not entice that person to change his behavior when running the board meeting. So I quit. And my advice to you, if you find yourself in some other endeavor on a board that's just not functioning, if you don't have a great chair, I think your talents might be used more productively in some other enterprise. So what should a chair do? I have 3 T's. A chair is basically responsible for the time you invest and where you invest it, the tone of the meetings around that agenda, and then thirdly, the talent of the people who are on the board. 3 T's. Let's start with the time investment, because I said earlier that I regard that as a critical decision, a huge investment decision for any ongoing operating company, because it consumes so much time. So why don't we try and get a return on that agenda? I work the agenda when I'm chairman of any company really hard. I probably invest 2 times as much in terms of hours spent on my job as chair as the average director would. Before each meeting, I go to the CEO and we work together on, well, what do you need the board to do and what do we want to get done? That conversation ends up in a draft agenda. I send that draft agenda to each of my directors, one-on-one, and then within a week, I phone them one by one and have a conversation with them. Is this the best way to invest our time in your view? What else would you like to see on this agenda? What would you like taken off on this agenda? What would you like delayed till the next agenda? I work that and work that and work that until we have an investment decision that's used the entire board and the senior management team to come to some determination. Following the meeting, I do exactly the same thing. I meet with the board in camera and I go around the room and I ask each individual one by one, how did this meeting go? What was there too much of? What was there too little of? Where were the briefing papers not adequate? And I asked the CEO to get the debrief from the management team at the same time. I then leave the board with all my notes from each individual director about what might be done differently next time and go and join the management board and the CEO. And typically I would tell them somebody had done a brilliant presentation, I'd congratulate them. The things I wasn't so happy about, I'd keep to myself. But I would ask them to tell me how they felt from their side of the Grand Canyon the meeting went. At the end of that, I go and sit with the CEO, and we might be 15 minutes, we could be 2 hours, but we'll come up with another set of things we might do differently to improve the return on investment next time around. I do that every single board meeting. It is hugely time-consuming for your chair, but I think it's the only way to get more and more value out of your board than any other single way of doing it. It's an important device. It's a huge investment decision. Please have it worked. And the model's a Kaizen one of continuous improvement. Being a value-added board is tough enough, so tough, that if you're not trying continuously to improve your performance, you'll never get there. A once-a-year kind of check-the-box exercise is not going to do it for you. So a great chair, using a huge amount of his or her time to set the agendas, the time investment, and also subsequently to run the meeting in a tonality that is civil and yet deep and constructive. These are the two most important components of an effective value-added board. Without a great chair, you can never be a great director, and without a great chair, you can never have a value-added board. Period.